always be the one I wanna midnight. You'll always steal my breath away. Yeah. You'll always be my heart, my life. Every second, every day. Mm-hmm.